Tech Sideline is presented by First Bank and Trust Company, the bank that puts you first. They can meet your banking and financing needs for personal, agricultural, business, commercial, mortgages, and so much more. Visit firstbank.com to learn more.
Virginia Tech fell 34-14 to Florida State on Saturday. What can be gained in the final few weeks of the season, and what's next for the program? Let's talk about it on episode 453 of the Tech Sideline podcast, which starts right now. We're recording on Monday, November 17th, 2025 from the Tech Solutions Studio in the Virginia Tech Corporate Research Center. If you're watching the show on YouTube, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and refer the show to a friend. I'm your host, Riley Klaus, and today I'm joined to my left by lead analyst and columnist Chris Coleman. Across the way, our managing editor, David Cunningham. To my right, senior staff writer Andy Bitter, and producing the show behind the scenes, as always, is Mr. Nick Brown. Now, we're going to dive into what the Florida State game was today, but we want to start with the hot topic in Blacksburg, which is the rumors surrounding James Franklin potentially being the next head coach of Virginia Tech. What's the latest on the situation?
I think everybody watched game day with a lot of interest on Saturday morning. What was the phrase? Early talks?
Yeah.
Early stages? I think everybody snickered when they heard that one because you don't – they said early talks, early stages, and they expect to have a resolution in a couple of days, right? You don't if you spend 2 days talking to a coach and then hire him.
Right. You have to start the process, especially when you have this whole time here.
Right.
So
No,
I think even the whole set, like, Pat McAfee is he's not going to BS people. It's like early talk. They've been early talks for like 3 weeks of this whole thing. So
So I think if it's not a done deal, it's extremely close to being a done deal is what it really seems like to me. We know the Board of Visitors started meeting yesterday, and they're meeting again today, and I think some of their sessions are behind closed doors, although I don't know that for a fact. So I would expect a resolution to it very, very soon.
It sounds like if it weren't to happen, it would be one of those shocking coaching reversals, like last second that you hear about, like, oh, this guy was going to go here and then change of heart at the very last second and pulled out. It's a big controversy. So that would be the level of it not happening, I think, at this point. I think we're all kind of prepared for it. I just need to see them get it over the finish line and sign stuff and release it. And we've been ready. We've had stories prepped and ready to go for a while here. I don't know if anybody needs to stake out the airport right now or anything like that, but it feels like it's very close.
If I go to Wikipedia for lunch, does that count as me staking?
Can you
staking out the airport? I do have my binoculars in my bag. I just keep them with me.
Yeah, we know what you're doing today.
Yeah, no. Just waiting for an announcement, pretty much. It's the game day stuff was hilarious because I think we heard so much on Friday night about the way it was transpiring and the whole airport stuff and the game day guys basically just downplay it. And keep in mind where Thamel's getting his information from. He's getting his information from the agent who's telling him exactly what he wants out there. So there's a lot going on, but hopefully the resolution comes soon, and we are very prepared for it and ready to go. I think this fan base will appreciate the jolt it should provide.
I think so. Let me add this. Strangely enough, I got followed by Elijah Brooks on Twitter yesterday morning. I don't think he would just start following a random Virginia Tech writer on Twitter if he had 2 games left in his tenure as Virginia Tech's running backs coach. So I think he probably knows he's staying, and which would make sense because James Franklin recruits the Mid-Atlantic a lot. He's got Penn State had 2 commitments from DeMatha players, which is where Elijah Brooks coached. They had 2 commitments from DeMatha players for this recruiting class who have since decommitted, and Brooks has recruited DeMatha, the Mid-Atlantic, for a long, long time. He would make perfect sense for a James Franklin staff. So to me, that says, this is probably a done deal. That's just speculating a little bit, but it all adds up.
Yeah. Everything we've heard points to it. And you talk about staff. I think Fontel Mines is the other one. Franklin tried to get him to Penn State a couple different times. And as far as Virginia recruiting goes, I don't know if there are many better than Fontel Mines. So, we'll see. Could be a very, very exciting week.
Yeah, we'll be anxiously awaiting to see what happens there. But now let's go to the past in what was a football game on Saturday where Florida State had the advantage 34-14 over Virginia Tech. What were the overall takeaways from this game?
Well, another one of those games where Virginia Tech hung in there early, but in the end they were just too limited offensively. I was trying to keep up with the passing game. It turns out there wasn't a lot to keep up with. At one point I asked my friends, I said, does Virginia Tech even have positive passing yards? And then I looked at my phone and answered my own question, and no, they had -1 passing yards at that point. And then the very next play they hit Overton for a 36-yard gain to get up to 35 passing yards. But at that point, with about 6 minutes left in the second quarter, they had -1 passing yards. And
I tweeted that.
yeah,
It was,
I wasn't even looking at Twitter.
I think they had 120 rushing yards, and then they were 2 for 4 for negative
Right.
1 yards passing.
And
And that's hard to do.
And they didn't complete a pass to a wide receiver until I think 19 seconds left in the second quarter.
Peterkin.
Peterkin. How about that? I guess with Green off the team, somebody had to step in there, and it turned out to be Peterkin. But I think everybody realizes this is supposed to be and should be a run-heavy team, which it was the other night. That said, when you drop back to pass it, you do need your passing game to be efficient when you do pass it, and that's just not in the cards for Virginia Tech this year. So it's really hard for them to stay in a game over 4 quarters of football against an opponent with talent when there's such a big hole in what they could do. I mean, when that gap is completely missing, I mean, it's just such a big part of success. Like, you have to be able to throw the ball.
You have to be balanced.
Right. It doesn't mean you need to have to throw it 35, 40 times. It means when you do throw it 18 to 20 times, which is about what Virginia Tech should probably do, you have to do better than, 128 yards?
125.
125, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the stats on this game. Florida State ran the ball very well, and Virginia Tech actually ran it better.
Mm-hmm.
They had 1 more yard. They averaged 5.8 yards. Florida State 5.2. Neither team could get off the field. There were 0 punts in this game. 0 punts. Now, a couple of those were turnover downs on downs late that Virginia Tech had to try to go for it. But neither team was really stopping the other one. They were going up and down the field. A couple missed field goals early on. That's why the score wasn't that great. But the difference was that Florida State made some plays in the passing game. They had a 50-yard touchdown to Deuce Robinson. Deuce Robinson, really good player, by the way. And as you mentioned, that height advantage was a very big deal against Hokies cornerbacks out there when they're playing. So Florida State had a couple of those plays. What's that stat they show every week, the EPA, like how bad did we get beat? Virginia Tech was actually ahead of Florida State in that. That doesn't tell the whole picture of how the game went, because obviously Florida State's running more plays, not trying to, they're trying to run clock at the end and not trying to hit on big plays like that. But, I mean, it tells you that the Hokies really didn't get just like completely crushed.
Right.
In this game. They're just not doing those little things to keep up, and they don't have the passing game to be able to keep pace. And that's going to be whoever the next coach is, possibly James Franklin, has got to fix that part of the offense. You can't just be run and have nothing in the air. So, my advice is, chuck it deep. Wasn't that the question that they always had questioned against Penn State? They have to have somebody to chuck it deep. So, we'll see if it is Franklin who we bring in as an offensive coordinator. But they, whoever the new coach is, they have to get a better passing attack than this.
And you can't even necessarily say that it's because Donovan Green has quit the team, because he didn't catch a pass in his last 3 games.
Yeah.
Somehow I think that probably has something to do with him quitting the team. Like when you're a starting wide receiver and you're just not catching any passes. Now, he could have caught that one against Louisville, of course, but still that would have just been 1 catch in 3 games. Just the whole passing game is broken, and it's extremely frustrating for everybody involved.
Well, there was a time in the first half when we're sitting there going over under catches by wide receivers.
That was a joke in the company
and
Slack.
It was just like, what's it going to be? And what did it end up with? Green, a couple, Selden's
5,
only,
I think.
Selden's only sort of a wide receiver,
Right.
It feels like. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty low number. So, that part has to be advanced in the future. And it's too late in the season at this point to really change it. Everybody's like, quarterback change. You got to change the quarterbacks. Like, I don't know if that's going to change the system and how things are set up. I don't know if you look at this and you go, this is strictly a Kyron Drones problem. I think he's part of the issue, but I don't think it's only him, and I think it's offensive wide thing that they have to fix.
Yeah, I don't think he helps the receivers. I don't think the receivers help him. I don't think the offensive line pass blocking helps anybody. Right.
Also true.
Yeah. And I think the whole thing, and credit to Montgomery, I think he's adjusted as the season has gone more run heavy and everything like that. But initially, the offense that was installed was not built for this offensive personnel, unfortunately, and that's one of the things we question going into the season. So they've had to pivot quite a bit, and it was correct. But I don't think the system that initially installed was the right fit for the players that Tech has.
Oh, and I think it just makes it very easy on the opponent when you're one-dimensional. Like Virginia Tech ran for the most yards Florida State's given up all season, but when you get in third and long situations and it's very difficult to run in those spots, it's very easy to know exactly, as a defense, it's very easy to know exactly what the Hokies are going to do, and they're not good at converting those downs. And I think this has been the problem all year. And I thought you, Chris, you described it very well in your column on Sunday, because it's like the running backs have been good all year, and they were good on Saturday, and the defensive line has been good all year, and they were good on Saturday. But most of the other pieces are just, whether it's because of injuries in the secondary, whether it's because it's the offensive line problem that Brent Pry never seemed to be able to figure out. I mean, this is just kind of what Virginia Tech is at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you look at those running backs, Marcellus Hawkins and Terrian Stewart. I put these numbers in my column yesterday, but Stewart is number 1 in the country in average yards per carry after contact. Hawkins is number 7. Elusive rating, I think Stewart, again, is number 1, and Hawkins is in the top 10. I mean, these guys are really, really good backs.
And add Overton to the mix. He looks pretty sharp.
He looks pretty good, too.
Yes,
you know how many touchdowns they combined for this year? 1. 1 rushing touchdown. It's like the running back in Varsity Blues, right? He runs for all these yards and never scores. But it goes to show you that the Tech offense itself is broken. Both those guys are capable, in the right set of circumstances, of being a 1,000-yard rusher. Either one of them could be. They're just not They don't have the right set of circumstances around them right now, but they're very good players. Marcellus Hawkins, priority keep for Virginia Tech. He's a very good back.
Yeah, I think I'll go to one play in particular where I think this just sort of illustrates the difference between what Florida State could do a little bit. I mean, they have a very good offense, capable offense, even though the team has struggled this year, and what Virginia Tech can't. And I think it was 17-7. Florida State had scored that touchdown after I don't think Thomas Williams was offsides on that.
Yeah,
I mean, he shouldn't be jumping in that situation, but I think he got back. So it could have been 13-7. It was 17-7. Tech came down. They're sort of on the fringe of field goal range. I'm sitting there going, oh, that 42-yard field goal is coming. Plus-yard field goal for the TSL. Didn't have that opportunity. It was 3rd and long. Drones drops back. He's under all sorts of pressure. Steps up, tries to get through the hole to free to run or throw the ball on the run, and gets sacked and fumbles, and they lose the ball. So not only do you not get a touchdown or a conversion in that situation, you don't even get points or an opportunity at points. Florida State comes down and scores again. It's 24-7. The game is over at that point. But that's a situation where you need to have an offense capable of converting in that situation. Third and 11, I think it was. I have no faith in this offense converting to 3rd and 11. And you've got to be able to convert some of those in those situations. And they just can't right now. They don't have the operation to do it.
And when you look at this game, it was a 3-point game at halftime, just 10-7. But in the second half, Florida State outscored Virginia Tech 24-7. What in this game and maybe in other ones this season do you think has been the biggest contributor to the second half kind of going to the opposition?
I think the longer you play, the more your shortcomings show, the further you get into games. Virginia Tech was beating Louisville at halftime. They were hanging right in there with Florida State. But ultimately, over 4 quarters of football, you have to be able to complete a few passes down the field. And I think defensively, obviously, Virginia Tech's interior defensive line has played very, very well this year, and they played well again the other night. It's just a lot of those runs are like right on the creases of the edge, and there's not a linebacker or a safety there because Virginia Tech has struggled to recruit at linebacker, and they've got a lot of injuries and guys hitting the portal and it's safety. I mean, it might be a different defense with Quentin Reddish and Christian Ellis back there. at safety, right? I mean, those guys were playing pretty well for the Hokies, but neither one of them are available. Michael Short hit the portal, and he was playing okay. It's just too much youth back there, and the more snaps you have to play, the more that'll show up, I think. This team has some good players on it. There's some good pieces. Those running backs are good. The interior defensive line is good. I wish more than two of those defensive tackles were eligible to come back next year, because that could be a real strength of the team if they had more eligibility. But yeah, I just think you just don't quite have the horses there. Whether that's recruiting issues or injuries or guys hitting the portal, it's some combination of all of that.
And that shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think second half it certainly does. I think the other part with this game is they never really stop them. Right?
No.
I mean, here's Florida State's yards per drive here. 79, 66, 75, 63, 67, 61. Those are the first 6 drives of the game. So, they missed a field goal early that they shouldn't have. It was a real chip shot. They should have missed that one. Got held to a field goal and another one. And then it was touchdown, 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 touchdown. So maybe they're just sort of fortunate to get off the field a little bit early on, and then the law of averages. You're not going to stop them every time. Open. So in this game in particular, like, it was close at halftime, but it didn't feel close still. I know Florida State wasn't running away with it, but I'm sitting there going, man, they're just not stopping this offense from going down the field, and eventually that dam burst.
Yeah, I think Tech. Oh, and you saw it again, man. Self-inflicted wounds, whether it was turnovers and Jones threw a pick on that first drive and then fumbled on the first. He fumbled on the first drive of the second half and threw a pick on the first drive of the first half. So that's
that first one. That field was terrible.
Yes,
it was really bad. Yes. And Aiden Green commented afterwards, "Is like, man, we had that look. We wanted to target that guy specifically, and then if he fell down on that play, and that was an easy pick for him." So. That was a pick. But I look at the shot, the opportunity where they took it, and I'm like, man, they think they had an opportunity there.
It was man coverage.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't a bad read.
Yeah, it was just.
If they're both on their feet and going for that ball, you wouldn't expect it to get picked off.
Correct.
At worst, it falls incomplete.
You could tell how bad the field was even watching it on television. I didn't realize that they have the horse out on the field before the game, like practicing and everything, like 2 hours before kickoff.
Was the horse wearing longer cleats so that was able to run it?
I mean, I don't necessarily like that one. Was I would say more to the field than anything, but you fumble to start the second half too, and that's on top of having like 8 penalties, and
the penalties are getting a little out of control. A lot
of those penalties were in very poor spots. You're talking about 3 false starts.
I think Altuner got a couple of them.
1 or 2, and Lynch got 1 or 2, and you had an offsides penalty. But on top of that, you got a holding, and then you got 3 15-yarders.
Lynch had the hold on that big pass to Marcellus Hawkins.
Yeah, and I think he got a hold because he slipped and he fell, and he was just trying to hold on for dear life so the quarterback doesn't get killed on that play. So again, it's a tough spot for him. But that was a big one because that was 30 yards, 40 yards, whatever the play went for.
Big play,
I mean, that's on top of there was on a third down, there was a roughing on Noah Chambers, who's a true freshman.
Oh, yeah. That was a good call.
Legitimately roughing.
And it was a little bit late.
I saw it. I'm like, well, at least he got his money's worth on that one.
There was also a PI on Brown Murray, and then there was an unsportsmanlike conduct on Jordan Bass. So it's like, it's one of these things where it's like, if you're going to win a game like this, or even be close to have a shot, like your offense is one dimensional, it's like the last thing you can't afford is just like really bad timely penalties. And then there was like the Thomas Williams.
Yeah, jumping off sides in that situation. Like he's trying to make a play. Are you going to block that one from there? It was like a chip shot, 20-yard field goal. Like, I don't know. That one's coming out pretty high.
Field goal blocks come from, up the middle.
Yeah, I feel like if it's like a 55-yarder, you're like, all right, this is going to come out low. Just get like a big mid up. We can get this one. Coming off the edge is like really tough to do. But that said, I think he got back. I looked at that thing a couple times. They didn't have the angle directly down the line on TV, so I couldn't tell. But I took a little clip. For some reason, I can't record video on YouTube TV when I'm looking at it. YouTube TV finally back. Yeah. By the way, back in the game. Good thing I waited that out. But yeah, I just took it with my phone, videoing it. Old man technology here trying to do this, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, what am I missing here? It looks like he's all the way back. So. That was a big penalty because then they convert that on 4th and 1 and then get in the end zone. And instead of 13-7, 17-7, that's a big difference. This team is not equipped. It's not built to be down by multiple scores and come back and win. If you're within a touchdown, then all of a sudden you're going, okay, we can still run our offense. We can still run the ball a ton and take our time and stuff like that. But once you're down by, 10 points, it's like, all right, got to catch up at some point. And they're just they can't do it.
We've been saying the same thing all season, Riley. It's like you can't afford to shoot yourself in the foot time and time again and play from behind the sticks and from behind the entire game, pretty much.
You listen or watch some of these podcasts, and if we didn't mention who Tech was playing every 2 or 3 minutes, you'd probably be like, which game are they talking about? Because that could have been pretty much any game this season.
It did kind of follow the Louisville.
It did.
Except they didn't have a lead at halftime, but second half just got away from them.
Yep.
Well, let's try to round out this game specifically discussion with, is there any piece of the game from this week that you would like to see happen again in the next contest?
Well, I would like to see the defensive tackles continue to play well and the running backs continue to play well, and I'm sure we will. It's just, will anything else catch up to that? And at this point, you probably have to say, nah. It's just not going to happen.
But I would say the way they are using the running backs. You talk about
give me more Overton.
Overton, man. He like the swing pass they threw to him. I mean, just a burst. You go from -1 passing yards to he has a 36-yard gain, and he's such a different change of pace.
Yes.
And you talk about wanting to keep Marcellus Hawkins. Overton's a guy they should prioritize keeping because. He's coming. Less than a year ago, he tore his ACL before the bowl game, and he's back. And he's, I think Virginia Tech fans, a lot of them are like, "Who's this guy?" And we've got 2 good running backs, and why is this guy playing? And it's like you saw it on a play like that. He hasn't had a ton of carries, 8, but he's got 65 yards. He's moved the ball pretty well anytime he's come in.
Yeah, I mean he's 180 pounds, I think.
Listed at 178.
Yeah, so different style of back than what they have. I mean, Hawkins is a load, even though he's got some moves and do stuff. And Terrion Stewart is the same way, even though he stops and changes direction really well. But those are guys that are going to hit the hole. And if you're a tackler, you're like, I don't want to tackle this guy all day. Overton really shoots through there. I mean, he's quick, he's fast. I mean, I asked Hawkins, he's a beast. He's one of one. This is Hawkins saying this. So he's pretty impressed by them. I think that the linemen are impressed. It just adds another element to this run game that you sit there and you go, man, can you run it 60 times a game and just not even throw it once without being a true option offense? Probably not, but man, I'd love to see just an even bigger run pass split if they could get away with it. I don't know if they're going to be able to in these last couple games. The caliber of offenses they're going to get against and the points needed to score.
Yeah, I think that's the tough part when you face. Well, I think one of you guys put it in your story, just how good the Miami offense and how good the Virginia offenses are. And this,
I think they're 3rd and 5th in the ACC.
Yeah,
Sounds about
it's
right.
If you're the Virginia Tech offense, you're going to be playing from behind for a lot of this game, which makes it difficult to run. And that's why I think you look back at that Cal game, the Hokies were able to just go on the ground because it was a tight game and the defense had played pretty well. I think if you get a good showing from the defense against Miami or Virginia and it's a close game, that favors the Hokies style a little bit. But if your back's against the wall and the defense can pin its ears back, the opposing defense can pin its ears back and knows exactly that Virginia Tech's going to run. That's just kind of who the Hokies are at this point.
And those two defenses are good, too.
Yeah.
Miami can be up and down. They lost to Duke and gave up over 40
up
points.
And down?
Yeah, believe it or not. But they also can physically destroy Notre Dame in the trenches, which they did at the start of the season. I mean, their defense is legitimately good. I watched most of the Virginia game on Saturday, and their defense is legitimately good. I mean, the Duke quarterback is no joke, but the UVA defense kept him in their pocket their whole game. So those are two defenses it's going to be extremely difficult to move the ball against.
Yeah, I don't like Virginia Tech's chances these next 2 weeks. There's a time there where you're like, Miami doesn't look that good. Maybe they fall apart here. And then UVA, it's like, they keep getting lucky. They're winning all these close games. And then both of them last week just go out, just destroy these two. It's like, Duke's feisty. NC State chaos agent. No chance neither of those games. It was 40-0 in the third quarter in both those games. So you're all of a sudden catching these teams that have seem like they're playing pretty well right now. Virginia Tech has its limitations. And they're going to be double-digit underdogs, and I think they're 16.5 already. That sounded low to me.
Yes,
if I'm being honest with Miami. And UVA, I think will be double digits at home, playing for a chance probably to go to the ACC title game. I mean, if you're a UVA fan, this is just like exercising all sorts of demons
And
potentially.
you've got to buy.
Right, you've got,
It's just like 2019. UVA had a bye
Yeah.
before the Virginia Tech game, and then the week before that, they played Liberty, who at the time, wasn't good. So they basically had like 3 weeks to prepare for the Virginia Tech game in 2019. Not quite the same this time, but they still got that bye week.
At this point, if you're a Tech fan, you just have to hope that the pressure is just too grand on
Right.
UVA. Like if you screw up this opportunity, UVA, you will never live it down
Never
for
live
the
it
rest
down.
of time. I mean, you can be double-digit favorites at home to win the ACC or go to the ACC title game. You've got college football playoff aspirations. You win the ACC, you go to the playoff at this point.
My best friend from high school went to UVA. He's a season ticket holder. He goes to all their games, home and away. We were exchanging texts this weekend, and he's like, "Y'all are going to beat us." And I'm like, there's no chance we're going to beat you. but they're just so used to
this
it.
is 20 years of that psychology in this rivalry. So, I mean, if you're Virginia Tech, you have to hope that plays into the result, because I think if you just go on the field and they play it heads up, like, man, UVA is the better team this year by a good margin.
Lots to look forward to. I'm not sure what the morale of these numbers will be, but I believe that we have some stats from the latest game against Florida State for Stat Time with Scott Glesner.
We do. Presented by Tyrus Homes this week. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 8 or 9 stats, including a positive one way down here that Scott included. No punts for the first time since, Scott says, going back to at least 1950. No punts for either team in a game, which was very impressive. There were just a lot of sustained drives this whole game. Like, neither team, Tech turned it over on downs 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, they were down big late, so they had to go for it in their own territory. What was the thing that Damian Salas put out there?
If
Valcistis,
Nick Valcistis technically did not participate in the game.
even though he was a holder on snaps, he's not a participant.
Chris, who was Shane Graham's holder in 1999?
Caleb Hurd.
Caleb Hurd technically
Hurd
never
for Heisman.
Caleb Hurd technically never participated in a game because all he did was hold for Shane Graham.
And I can't imagine that team punted a whole lot.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
he
think
wasn't
he
the
wasn't the
punter.
punter. He was
Okay.
just a holder. But you technically do not participate if you're just holding. So Valcistis did not play.
That's weird to me, though, because he is the 11th player on the field. It feels like you'd have to acknowledge that.
You would think.
yeah.
Get on it, statisticians.
Look,
Come on.
if it's like a fake field goal and he run the option,
Well, then
is he a non-participant?
No.
then?
Then he's a participant.
Right, okay.
But it's like if all he's doing is holding the ball
There's no
for the
stat.
kicker. Yeah, there's
What if it's just like he mishandles the snap and just has to fall on it and gets tackled for a loss?
I assume that
then
means
all of a
that's
sudden,
a kid.
now I'm participating
Well,
because I screwed up this
the whole
play.
holding thing for field goals has always been weird because he catches the snap, his knee's on the ground.
Right.
Right?
He should be down.
Should be down,
technically.
right? For every other rule
Yeah.
in football except for that one play.
Yeah. Scott said another new milestone in quotes for the Hokies. They allowed points in the fourth quarter for the 12th straight game. This is the longest streak ever, breaking the record of 11, which occurred from the final game of the 1977 season through the first 10 games of 1978.
Virginia Tech sure has stacked up a bunch of records since 2022. haven't they?
When you have to go back to the 50s and the 70s, not a great time.
Not the greatest eras of Virginia Tech football,
Yeah,
for sure.
Tech has thrown for a total of 320 yards combined in the last 3 games. This is the lowest amount for a 3-game stretch since it threw for 315 combined in the 2008 ACC title game against Boston College, the following Orange Bowl against Cincinnati, and then the first game of the 2009 season against Alabama. So going back a ways.
I mean, that just underscores what we've been talking about this whole time. This isn't a modern passing offense in college. You got to fix that.
The Hokies and Seminoles were a combined 15 for 23 on third down on Saturday. It was the third time since at least 1985 that the Hokies and their opponent converted more than 63% of their third downs. The other 2 games were last year's Miami game and the 2003 Insight Bowl versus Cal. And that game, the Cal game, also represents the last time Virginia Tech converted at least 2/3 of its third downs and lost the game.
That's crazy. Because if Nick had done some sort of third down thing for buy or sell, I would have definitely done sell this week and would have been totally wrong.
Well, if you would have looked and you go, they scored 14 points in the game, you would have sold it just based after
just
the
based on
fact.
that.
Yeah.
Tech has now stopped an opponent from scoring in the red zone 3 times this year. However, Florida State's missed field goal on its first drive on Saturday was the only one of the three that did not end in victory formation. This is the second time this season that the Hokies did not get a sack or force a turnover. Since 1985, this is only the second time it has occurred where Tech had no sacks and no turnovers in multiple games in a season. It last occurred in 2021 against Miami and Maryland, which was the Pinstripe Bowl.
Right.
Speaking of turnovers, the Hokies are forcing 0.6 turnovers per game this season. I believe we were talking about in the office earlier, and Tech is like second to last in the country in terms of turnovers forced. This would be the lowest forced turnover rate on record since at least 1935, according to Scott.
Oh, now the 30s. Now World War II. That's incredible.
Did they even throw the ball in the 30s?
That's
Like, it's
a
just
great
all
question.
fumbles that they recovered?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not a ball hawking defense.
You
lose Mansour, you lose Dorian in the same offseason. Like, you're going to take a huge step back.
We were talking about this earlier because I read that stat out in the office, and you were like, when was Virginia Tech's last turnover?
And it wasn't that long ago, as it turned out. It was against Louisville.
It was against
It
Louisville.
just so few of them happened.
It was Isaiah Cash's
the Cash pick.
interception.
Right.
That was a
Before
nice
that-
one, too.
It was. Before that, you have to go, I think, all the way back to the Wake Forest game.
Isaiah Brown Murray.
Yeah, when he got that pick and like returned it to the 4-yard line,
And they
Tech still
really
didn't
needed
score.
him to score a touchdown.
Right.
Yeah.
One positive. The last 5 times Tech has not made a bowl, it won its following season opener, according to Scott. So,
Who's the season opener next year?
VMI, I believe.
Well, feel bad for those guys.
Take
They
that.
had a chance, David, until you just jinxed them.
Take that, Keydets. History is not on your side.
Here's our last one. Scott writes, and of course, if James Franklin gets hired, that continues the tradition, in quotes, of the Hokies hiring a coach that hasn't beaten Virginia Tech before taking the job. He said Shane Beamer probably would have been the only candidate that would have had a win against Tech, which of course came at the beginning of the season this
Could
year.
have been Manny Diaz.
That's true.
Yeah, Manny Diaz has a win.
That's true. So that's your stat time with Scott Gossner this week, presented by Tyrus Holmes. Maybe he'll have some new coaching stat time for us. That'd be nice.
Yeah, special edition. Well, thank you very much for those numbers. We'll talk a little bit more of what's next for Virginia Tech football. But first, a message from one of our sponsors at Tech Sideline.
This Tech Sideline video comes to you from the Tech Solutions studio. Tech Solutions, located in Arlington, Virginia, provides specialized CETA engineering and financial advisory services to the Department of Defense and Intelligence community. Based on the philosophy of only hiring the best of the best, we pride ourselves on being customer and mission focused. A Washington Post top workplace winner in 2024 and 2025, we're always looking for talented and motivated individuals to join our team. Visit techsolutionsva.com/careers to learn more. That is techsolutionsva.com/careers.
All right. Well, as we continue the discussion today, you guys kind of alluded to the upcoming schedule for Virginia Tech. But with this latest loss, the Hokies did lose bowl eligibility chances. But what can still be gained over these last 2 weeks of the season?
I think if let's just say James Franklin is hired this week and there's a big recruiting weekend next weekend and he's at the game and he gets hired and he gets to watch practice over the next 2 weeks to determine, the players he wants to prioritize keeping and things like that. Like, you've really got a chance to show out if you're like an individual Virginia Tech player. You've got an opportunity to prove yourself in front of the next head coach in person, right? Which is a very unique situation because that pretty much never happens unless the head coach is promoted from within, in which case you've already been practicing in front of him the whole time. So I think if you're a Virginia Tech player, if Franklin gets hired this week, you look at it from that perspective and you've got a big opportunity over the next 2 weeks. It just doesn't seem like from a team standpoint, Virginia Tech's going to get very much accomplished over the next 2 weeks, but from an individual standpoint, there's a lot to be gained for some of these guys.
Yeah, I think from a team standpoint, you win either one of these games, and it's the signature win of the season. And it doesn't make everything go away, but, man, if you beat Miami at home or you beat Virginia on the road, you can play spoiler in this whole thing. Miami's got, college football playoff at-large bid in their minds now, especially they still have that head-to-head against Notre Dame, which apparently the committee doesn't really count. Like, why play this game if that's not going to count? Like, And for God's sake, committee, don't make me defend Miami here. But Miami won that game. They won that game early on in the season. So should probably take that into account. UVA, like I said, trying to get to this title game. If they win it, they're in. I mean, we can stop talking about the ACC getting left out at this point. Duke lost, and they're not going to play in that title game. So, winning either one of these ones, it's been a long slog of a season, but that would make it go down a little bit easier if they managed to do it. So, I mean, think about 2021, and it's a terrible season. J.C. Price is the interim coach. They go down to Miami for the first game and lose, and then they come back and they go to Virginia and they win that game. And he's hailed as like a legend. He's smoking cigars on the field. It's like, JC, true and true Virginia Tech guy and all this stuff. And then, they went to the Pinstripe Bowl with a JV team and lost by 40 points in that one. And JC, God bless him, broke his hand in giving a pregame speech. All the other stuff didn't really go that great in his interim coach run, but he beat Virginia. And that wasn't even a good Virginia team, and he beat them, and that was, that will go down as sort of his legacy as the interim coach. So the opportunity is there to do something pretty cool in these next 2 weeks. I don't think they'll do it, but that makes it even cooler if they pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean, I think you ask any Virginia Tech fan, and it's like, the season's lost, the season's over, whatever. But if you tell them they have an opportunity to beat Virginia or even Miami, okay, we'll take it. Like, I think that's what you're playing for. You're playing for pride. You're playing for rivalry. And these are two really good teams that you have the chance to. I mean, we've seen the Hokies hang with some pretty good teams this year. It's not like Virginia Tech. We got the schedule up here. Virginia Tech led Vanderbilt at halftime and led Louisville at halftime. Those are two ranked teams. Like, if you can put near four quarters together, you might be in the game. Now, do we expect it? No, but there's a lot of pride to go play for. And Chris, you talked about, in terms of the evaluation, new coach coming in. I think on that point, like a lot of times you see it when a team's playing in a bowl game. Like if you think Pry came in, Pry had a chance to evaluate the players when Tech was preparing for the Pinstripe Bowl, but you also got to think that was like all opt-outs and like Tech, as Andy said, had a JV team pretty much. I mean, it was just like, it was a complete mess. This is an opportunity for a coach to evaluate a team like the end of the season. I mean, this is you're still in the actual regular season. This is your 11th and 12th games. And as far as a recruiting weekend goes, you have an opportunity against a really good Miami team potentially to show off, hey, here's Virginia Tech on a football game day for a new coach. Nobody has an opportunity to do that in the country unless they make a hire this week or next week. Right. So it's like those opportunities are few and far between, and that could be an interesting advantage depending on how many high school kids you could get to come into town this weekend.
Just looking slightly ahead to the Virginia game, I've never felt less pressure going into a Virginia Tech UVA game. There were so many years where Virginia Tech was 5-6 and they had to beat UVA to make a bowl game, so you felt pressure going into that. In 2019, when Tech actually lost the game, that was for the Coastal Division title, so there was a lot of pressure on both teams going to that. This one, it's like Virginia Tech's not going to a bowl. Virginia's supposed to win. They're supposed to win the game handily this year. If they do, that's exactly what was supposed to happen, right? So I don't feel any pressure going into that
House
game
money.
at all. Yeah, pretty much.
This is even scared money don't make money. This is just no pressure whatsoever.
Yeah.
No money.
When you say
No
house
money.
money, it's like I don't know what kind of house money they're betting with. They're in the hole severely here, but there's not pressure to get break
I mean, you're
even
playing
on
with
this.
nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I think that could make Tech dangerous.
I have to imagine there's still a feeling on this team like we don't want to be the team that loses to these guys. That's always there, and I think that's sort of a black mark on that 2019 team and anybody that played for it. It's like how many generations of Hokies football players are like didn't lose to UVA my full 4 or 5 years that we were there, and anybody that was on that 2019 team, that's not true. And that's a trump card that some of these guys can play on other people. It's like, well, at least we never lost to UVA. It's like, wait, we did. No argument there.
And you alluded kind of earlier that the personnel might be what it is at this point in terms of players' development, but are there any adjustments that you'd like to see over these last few weeks?
I'd like a trick play or two on offense. Like Marcellus Hawkins was a high school quarterback.
Jarikus Harrison was a high
also
school
a high
quarterback.
school quarterback.
Cam Selden,
right.
We've been hearing about his versatility and stuff. and
Debo Samuel, where's the handoffs?
Yeah, they
and all
haven't
that?
done anything with him on that.
Right. So, you run to win, you throw to score, and you can also run some trick plays every now and then to score. It's like, remember the movie The Water Boy at the end where the announcers are just like, last game of the season, can't hold anything back now. They kept saying it over and over and over again. Well, I've been saying that over and over again for like the last 2 or 3 weeks. Like some sort of a trick play. Even if it doesn't work, just show me that you've got it.
Fake punt.
Yeah,
Cue it.
And I'm not big
What do you
about
gotta
like
lose?
switching quarterbacks. Like, could Pop take a snap or two just to see what he's capable of out there?
Yeah.
If anything, just give Drones like a mental rest for a drive or something like that, or even if, like have a trick play for him that he comes in and 2 quarterbacks on the
Both
field,
on the field at the same time.
something like that. It's like it's like fine china in your house. Like, we're just never going to use this stuff. It's just going to sit there. We're just never going to use it. Like, if you have him on the roster, you're not trying to preserve a red shirt. Use him for something. So. I don't know. I'd like to see something like that.
I mean, you got to think that a lot of the members of this coaching staff, I mean, these are their final 2 games at Virginia Tech. So throw the kitchen sink at them. I mean, just you got nothing to lose. And yeah, I think you talked about it a little bit, Chris. Just some of these young guys, Noah Chambers, Jeffrey Overton. There's opportunities for some of these young guys that have eligibility left to show out. And to kind of give everybody a glimpse of, hey, this is what I could do if I come back next year.
So there's still a lot that still could happen. Miami is the next opponent for Virginia Tech. We'll have a preview for you later this week. We'll speak of Miami and other schools. Is there anything recently in the race for the ACC title that stood out to you and who the true players are here?
4-way tie, 4 teams with 1 loss. I mean, I would be tough to bet against UVA at this point, being in there. And then, you've got Georgia Tech at 6-1, Pitt at 5-1, SMU at 5-1. I don't know exactly what their schedules look like from here on out, but Georgia Tech, man, they got that 16 next to their name. They're the 2nd highest ranked team in the league, but their defense leaves a lot to be desired.
BC really blew that game.
Yeah.
They should have won that game, and then they blew it at the end. I'm still looking at SMU as an interesting one. I'm not sure exactly.
They got Louisville.
Yeah, and Louisville's not playing well all of a sudden, and then they close with Cal, which who knows? I mean, Cal pops up every now and then. Say and Pitt plays Georgia Tech,
And then Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Right.
so say it's Georgia Tech, Virginia, SMU, all at 7-1. I'm not sure how the tiebreakers work in that situation. So I'd have to look
Teal
into
would
it.
know.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to like record versus common opponents and stuff like that. And UVA and SMU both had the same loss, Wake Forest. So it's going to be like winning percentage against common opponents. It's kind of a mess. So I don't know if that's Sideline. I don't know who that favors, but again, I'll go back to it. I think it'll be a bad look for the ACC if they have these 3 teams, none of whom have played each other. And you're going to have to pick it based on like the 4th or 5th tiebreaker. They got to figure out a way to settle this on the field if they're going to try to decide a true champion and who's going to represent them in the college football playoff. Semifinals. I'm pitching it again here. I think they need to have, instead of this 9th game, just everybody gets a blanket 9th game, there's a 9th week. Semifinals, everybody else gets a bonus game. They can match up against somebody, odd number of teams. Schedule Charlotte. You're going to play an ACC team this week. We'll give you the worst one. You're playing Boston College this week. Congratulations.
Right.
You might be able to win this one. Everybody else pair up. Top 4 teams play in the semifinals. Then those advance to a championship round on the regular championship weekend. I think that's how they should do it.
It's like
That's my proposal.
ACC playoffs before the actual playoffs.
Yeah.
ACC bowl games before the actual bowl games. We're trend-setting here.
But I mean, like the ACC was really forward thinking on this replay thing. And I think everybody agrees it's really cool. You got the cameras in there. You're listening to this whole thing. And I bet you the Big Ten and the SEC follow suit with that kind of stuff earlier. Well, guess what? The Big Ten and the SEC have the same problem that the ACC does. They're too big. They're too big to figure out their champion based on what it was before. And, I guess if you're the Big Ten and the SEC and you're matching up your top teams, perhaps that's detrimental to them because it could knock them down from an at-large consideration. But if you're the ACC, just put your best team forward as best as you can. And, for seeding purposes, for everything else, I don't think it hurts you to have good teams playing each other at the end of the year. The opportunities are there for wins. I don't think they punish people in the actual championship game for losing in that situation. So I think you got to figure out a way to get your best teams to face each other at the end of the year, and they just haven't had that.
I mean, how fun would it be if you had like a Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Pitt, SMU, like semifinal games, like you're playing for a chance to you got one game, win that game, and you're in the AC title game.
Right, and right now, if you're a 2-loss team, you would still have a chance. Like Miami would still have a chance to win the ACC.
That's what they always liked about the divisions, is you could get into mid-November, and it's like, well, we're still live in the Coastal. Right. You could always say you're live in the Coastal, even if you have 3 losses at that point. Right now, this would bring Miami back into the equation.
And I think Miami probably right now is the best team in the league.
The way they're playing, probably.
Yeah.
And then you look at the schedule, and they lost to SMU. They lost when Louisville was playing well. It's like, okay, well, did these other top teams in the conference
play SMU?
Right. Did they have their record because they're that much better than Miami, or are they that much better because they won the scheduling lottery this year? I think the more you can minimize the chance of we just got lucky and didn't play a bunch of top teams this year. And people think I'm talking about UVA. I'm not necessarily. I think Georgia Tech is kind of in that same situation. Yes. I would just like to see more opportunities where the best teams are playing each other decided on the field.
I'm pulling for Pat Narduzzi to just ruin it all for everybody.
Well, I mean, he got his wish. He got hammered by Notre Dame.
Right.
He's saying, we can lose by 100. I don't care. It's like, well, then you clearly didn't care that you lost by 20 or 30, whatever the final score was. So he's got him right where they want him, the Nard dog.
As far as the ACC semifinals idea goes, I got 2 words: television ratings.
That's right. Listen, people laughed at the 3x5 model when I put that out there initially. Look it up on the internet. I had that idea. I had that idea published. Yeah, I was when I was at Roanoke and the Virginian Pilot, and the Virginian Pilot. It's still up there on the website. That was confirmed, published long before it ever became a reality. This is my next forward-thinking idea here. Put into effect, ACC. I only want 1% of the gross receipts.
And then it's finally going to happen, and then something crazy is going to happen. Oh, it'll get canceled before it actually goes into effect.
Right. Nick, can we clip that and tag the ACC?
That's right. Yes. I want the credit and a cut, a percentage this time.
All right, we'll try to make that happen for you as we move along with the ACC race. Well, as we are moving along in this podcast and getting towards the end, Hokies basketball has also been up to a lot lately. What are your latest takeaways from that?
They got challenged yesterday by a very unique lineup that featured a 6'11" power forward and a 7'2" center, guys that are really hard to shoot over. They played Neo differently than some other teams have. It really frustrated him. You could see, Will and I had really good seats at mid-court, and you could just see the frustration in his face. But that's probably a good thing. You need to face some adversity and get some certain things out of your system earlier. Understand that teams are going to play you differently on a game-to-game basis and how you react to that. So it's very important that Virginia Tech won the game, which they did. I guess they practiced their free throws this week. I know. Whenever they have a bad free throw shooting game, people are like, they need to practice for free throws more. What they go 30 of 35?
30 for 36.
30 of 36.
Yeah. I mean, just you talk about Wednesday, blew St. Joe's out of the water, and then play a tight one with Charlotte. And I think a lot of people on the surface are like, what?
It was 55-38, and it looked like Tech was going to blow them out of the water.
Yeah.
And credit to Charlotte.
Yeah. Hokies were up 44-32 at halftime of yesterday's game, and Charlotte came back. But the difference was just the pace of the game and the styles. I wrote after Wednesday's game against St. Joe's that the Hokies were playing at the highest pace ever for a Mike Young team. And then Charlotte comes in, and Charlotte is playing at the slowest pace of anyone in the entire country. That's just a huge stylistic difference. And this team is not like normal Mike Young teams that want to play slow. Dallas wants to play faster. Mike Young talked about it yesterday that the pace of the game just disrupted Tech a little bit. And he said, we've got to be better at facing different styles. We can't let that hamper us. But I think that was a good learning experience because Tech never gave up the lead. It led the entire time. It was never tied. Charlotte never led. And Charlotte had a little bit of a mismatch at times. Anton Bonk, that 7'2" center.
And he's got skill too.
Oh my
Most
God.
7'2" guys, I just assume they can't play. He could play.
I mean, he's the number of just like weird like tip-ins and put-back dunks. It's like when you're 7'2", man. And that's just such a challenging matchup. And Charlotte held Tech scoreless for like 7.5 minutes. And then the Hokies found a way to win. And Mike Young talked about it after the game. Just that will serve us well going forward because I think the learning experience of you got to take a team seriously for 40 minutes. You can't slack off. You can't have a low like that. And you kind of have to stay focused. And credit to Tech for weathering that storm, not letting Charlotte get over that hump. And Tech eventually pulled away. Jaden Schutt hit that huge three.
From the corner, yeah.
Huge three that it was a 1-point game. Hokies, go up 4, and then Avdalas kind of took over, hit 6 free throws in a row, and Hokies are 4-0.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. I thought the like you said, the pace of this game, it wasn't just how Charlotte played, it was how the game was called.
Oh, yeah.
The St. Joe's game last week, Roger Ayers, to his credit, love that guy. Hardly called any fouls.
That was like the A+ officiating crew for the ACC.
It was. And this one, they called over a foul a minute.
Yeah.
And it was over 40 fouls in a 40-minute
46.
46 fouls in 40 minutes. There was no flow to this game at all in any way, shape, or form.
And you saw it impact of Dallas a little bit. Like he came down the floor. There was that one play under the basket where he was getting bumped the whole way down, and then he like slipped a little bit and had the shot behind his head. And I thought they bailed him out with a foul.
They did.
But at the other end, Tyler Johnson and Jaden Schutt just like kind of like just bumping their guys a little bit, and they call a foul. And you can tell that it was really frustrating Tech, just one of those where you're not really sure exactly how the officials are going to call it, and it makes it difficult. But at the end of the day, Tech's 4-0, pulled it out. Bryant this Wednesday, final tune-up before we're going down to the Bahamas next week for Battle for Atlantis, and that's going to be a really, really challenging tournament for them.
Yeah, got to crush Bryant, get as many efficiency points as you can out of this game because they're not a good team.
Should be interesting to see how all that turns out. Meanwhile, what do we have coming up on TechSideline.com?
We're not really sure.
Sort of in a holding pattern right now.
Nick's not going to interrupt with any breaking news, right?
Yeah. Nothing good. Nothing good yet. Okay, so.
Actually.
Oh, no.
This is funny.
Okay.
Arizona just renamed their stadium after a casino, a $60 million deal for the next.
What's the casino name?
Casa del Sol, so House of the Sun, which is cool for Arizona,
That is
but
kind of
like
cool.
it's after a casino, your college athletics. Alan Tisdale is just fists in the air right now.
Right. That's how you get Aaron McFarlane to come back and cover a game name it after a casino.
Well, they need to comp him some stuff too, I think.
Probably
We're
so.
past the point of just, naming it. Gambling? There's a gambling interest? No. Give me some stuff too.
What's coming up? The women, we didn't really touch on the women, Riley, but they're 4-0 as well. We got men's basketball Wednesday, women's basketball Thursday. Women are playing pretty well too. Maybe we'll do some basketball video stuff this week, Nick. I don't know. Yeah. But we are on James Franklin watch.
I wrote we started getting some word on Friday night, and I hadn't written my my James Franklin to VT column yet because I wanted to wait and see how I feel. Sometimes you think you know how you're going to feel, and then when something happens or is imminently about to happen, then you realize how you'll feel. And I didn't really realize how I feel until Friday night. So I started writing my my column, and I was up till about 1 a.m. doing it. So just waiting to hit the publish button on that. And gosh, I hope I don't feel really stupid.
Because wait a couple of days, you might feel differently about this whole thing. So.
Yeah. So we're waiting. As far as a regular football week, outside of that, Miami on Saturday, noon kick on ESPN. That's nice. We have Writers with Joyce. We get a nooner.
Is that coming up? We know
The Miami game.
Oh, you're talking
we'll
about
find out about the
Virginia
UVA
coming up.
kick time probably today at some point. But no, you go from a night game in Tallahassee that completely screwed up your travel plans
Don't get me started on the travel plans.
to a nooner in Blacksburg. I love that.
Andy's trip this week was sort of like Virginia Tech's trip to Miami in 2017.
Well, it was bad to start with because I had covered the game, got out of there at like 2, and then drove through the night to the Jacksonville airport. Don't recommend, by the way. Not a great drive. I'm there, and I knocked out my 5 thoughts in the morning because I was just kind of on like buzzing from the drive, and then get on the plane, and I fall asleep like instantly on the plane. I wake up, and I'm like, we're still on the ground. This isn't good. This is not good. And the AC wasn't working. It was like really hot, and so they had to get us off the plane because they couldn't fix the AC or something. So then they rerouted. I was supposed to go through Dulles to get to Roanoke. Rerouted me through Chicago, so I fly like right over Roanoke to go up to Chicago, and then have to fly back 2 hours coming back. I didn't get back till like 5, and I was just beat. So sort of glad maybe that Franklin news didn't drop yesterday, because then all of a sudden I have to come in here like a zombie and do a podcast at that point. But recovered a little bit today.
There you go. Nick, you had the exact breaking news we were waiting for a few minutes ago. Yeah, so what do you have for the audio video schedule the rest of the week?
First off, I want to shout out wrestling for absolutely stomping NC State this weekend.
Oh my gosh, they did.
And that
25-9.
Yeah, just annihilated NC State in the Wolfpack. Eddie Ventresca continues to own Vincent Robinson, which is really cool. But yeah, that was actually, I wanted to talk about that. That was a really neat idea, a new dual invite, and really in the forefront of college athletics. The winner gets NIL money, each school, and it's just a dual tournament that Tech wrestled, I think, 6 or 5 different teams 6 times, though, faced Minnesota twice, and made like $40,000 in NIL money for getting wrestling or for takedown bonuses and stuff. Really interesting stuff, and kind of cool to see how athletics is moving in different ways across all sports. But yeah, normal week this week for just the video audio content. We were worried that if the podcast got interrupted with the breaking news, we were just going to be like, nope. This one is getting scrapped because nobody is going to watch the Florida State recap if James Franklin news drops. But it didn't drop.
Now it's going to get
so yeah, now it's going to get. I swear, while I'm editing, this isn't going to
finalize it before it's too late here.
So yeah, cool week ahead, and fired up basketball. Finally getting the swing of things with some real competition coming up.
Maybe we'll have Talking with Teal in person too.
Yes,
Depending on news, that'd be great. So we'll have a lot coming up this week.
Well, lucky for those at home, you hopefully received this podcast, and we'll see what other ones occur throughout the week. Well, thank you so much for watching or listening to episode 453 of the Tech Sideline podcast. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and refer the show to a friend if you haven't already. I'm Riley Klaus, and for Chris Coleman, David Cunningham, Andy Bitter, and Nick Brown behind the scenes, we're signing off for now.